60 pounds and you can do it too. So let's get into how I did it, what I learned from losing all that weight, how I've kept it off, and how you can do it too if you want to. Two big disclaimers, I guess, before we get into it. First thing is, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a personal trainer. My only credential in what I'm about to talk about is the fact that I did this. I lost the weight and I've kept it off. I used to look like this, and now I look like this. So I stopped losing weight about 14 months ago and I've kept the weight off since then. So yeah, that's really my only expertise. So take that with a grain of salt. Second disclaimer is that I am not somebody who's ever struggled with an eating disorder. In this video, I am going to talk about monitoring your calorie intake and learning about macronutrients, and I sense from what I viewed online that topic in those areas can be very triggering for people who have experienced eating disorders. My heart goes out to you, but this is probably not the video to watch because I am not somebody who's experienced those things in my life, so I don't really know how to touch on those issues lightly. My only issue with food and eating is that I like to eat a little bit too much. So if you're somebody that also likes to eat food, and would still like to be able to lose weight and get the healthy body that you deserve and you desire, I can help you with that. First thing I think is the biggest first step to losing weight, and I think where people can get stuck a lot of times for years or decades even, is getting out of denial. I know that for me, before I started losing weight, I was aware that I was not as healthy as I could be. I was aware that I had extra fat on my body that wasn't serving me, but I wasn't really living in a space of clarity where I could fully accept I can do something about this, and I am not happy with how my body's performing. I'm not happy with how my body looks right now, and I want to do something to change that. I think there's a lot of narratives around the weight loss space on the internet and just in popular culture in general, and I think one of the strangest is that it's almost demonized to talk about or think about the fact that you might be happier if you were at a healthier point with your body. If you're overweight, you're not supposed to, think or talk with the fact that you think you'd be happier with your life if you were at a lower weight. And I think that encouragement of denial keeps people really stuck in this space because, I'm assuming that you're an adult watching this. We're all adults here. If you are overweight and you're able to get yourself to a healthy weight, you are likely going to be happier. I'm happier. I'm happier that I feel stronger. I'm happier that my body feels more capable. I'm happy that I'm not worried about the health outcomes from living about how I'm living currently. I know that, yes, I'm aging and we all get old, but I don't have this anxiety and fear about what my lifestyle and my choices are doing to exacerbate those problems that come with age. So has losing weight, completely changed every aspect of my life to where everything's perfect and I no longer have any issues? Of course not. And that's why I need us all to be adults here. Losing weight is not going to fix everything in your life. But I firmly believe that if you are not happy with the weight you're at now, whether that's underweight or overweight, maybe you are underweight and you have a severe lack of muscle tone on your body, if you're able to put on muscle and feel stronger and feel more capable, it's at least very possible that you might be happier and more content with your life overall. So I think the biggest first step, just to sum it up, is to get out of denial of the fact that if you're not happy with your body, own up to that fact. Own up to the fact that you're not happy with where your body's at right now, and have the courage to at least consider trying that. Well, I can do this for a year or two, and if being at a healthy weight doesn't bring me any joy in my life, well, then try something else. But you were at least worth a try, and you're at least worth putting the effort in to see if putting your love and putting your dedication into your physical body, brings some rewards for you. So I really encourage you to, if you are somebody who wants to lose weight, be clear on that fact. You're never gonna have the motivation to go to the gym and to watch what you eat if you're constantly wish-washing with the fact that, oh, I'd like to lose weight, but it's okay where I'm at right now. A lot of people aren't happy with their weight, or we're just Americans, so a lot of people are fat. Like, you don't have to accept those beliefs. You don't have to settle for mediocrity when it comes to your physical body and your strength. Settle for mediocrity in other areas of your life. Number 2, and this is where we get into the more technical stuff. The easiest way, I won't say it's the only way because like I said, I can't speak for everyone, but I think the easiest way, the most clear-cut way, the way to put the least amount of thought and worry into it is to watch your calories. So on a basic level, our bodies naturally don't want to lose weight, right? We want to keep the weight we have on, even add more, because we are animals. So, you know, throughout human history and throughout the history of mammals, it's been advantageous to have additional fat and additional weight on your body. So in order to encourage your body to lose weight, you need to eat less calories than your body would have for its optimal performance. So it's very easy to find out what kind of calorie cut you should start at. There's lots of places to go on Google and to figure out what your baseline calorie need is for your body. And if you are somebody who's overweight, it's likely that you're overeating, if not in quantity of food, just in calories with the choices you make. So it's very possible to just stick to the number of calories that your body needs and you will lose weight. So we're not even talking yet about going into a calorie cut, going into a calorie deficit. For a lot of people, if you're overweight, if you just limit your calories to the amount of calories that your body needs to function optimally, you will lose fat. Because I, like most people who are overweight, didn't really have any understanding of calories. So the amount of calories I was eating every day was the reason I was gaining weight. It wasn't that I was eating, you know, donuts and candy bars and McDonald's and stuff every day. No, I was eating like home cooked, normal meals, meat, starch, and vegetables. But I was eating too much food, and I was eating too much calorie-rich, really dense food. And without any awareness of how many calories I was consuming or how many calories my body needed to function optimally. So as a first step, and it can be your only step if that's as far as you want to take it, but as a first step, just figure out what your body needs to function optimally. Like I said, you can just go on Google and search how many calories do I need at whatever height, man or woman. You'll get a number and eat that amount of calories. There are lots of ways to feel satiated from a lower amount of calories. I can talk about this in a future video, and there's millions of videos about it online, but there's certain foods that are really calorie dense. So we get enjoyment out of chewing and out of the time we spend eating. So if you want to be satiated at a lower number of calories, it's very advantageous to learn which foods are lower in calories so that you can continue to eat a volume of foods, because you can eat the volume of food that you want and still maintain your caloric restrictions. It just takes some getting used to. It just takes some learning, and it just takes some dedication to get involved in it. And like everything, you just have to put in the effort up front. A lot of this will come super easily to you after a few months or after a year even of getting used to considering the amount of calories that are in your food, and it'll become like second nature to you to be able to understand if you're looking at a plate that has a lot of carbohydrates or a lot of protein. Counting your calories is not something that you need to do forever. I don't count my calories anymore. I now practice like what people would consider intuitive eating, but you can't, I don't want to say you can't, but it makes it so much harder to lose weight, to go from overeating and just doing whatever you want and being overweight to intuitive eating without a restructuring period in the middle where you're really getting your body used to what your intuition actually wants. Because if I had just gone from being overweight to being like, okay, I'm gonna practice intuitive eating, I intuitively would have eaten too much food, and I intuitively would have eaten too many calories on a daily basis, because my perception, like not just in my mind and what I bought at the store, but my body's perception of how much food I was used to having was extremely skewed. So I don't think that people need to, unless you're somebody who is very rigid and you want to stay on that forever, you don't need to cut calories forever. You don't need to watch your calorie intake forever. You don't need to use MyFitnessPal forever. I think that in and of itself brings people a lot of fear and probably leads to a lot of the issues with eating disorders and stuff. If this is something that's like, now my life is just every day I have to track how many calories I have to eat, you don't. That's not realistic, and you don't have to do that, because the point of cutting your calories and watching your calories super closely is to lose weight. And you don't need to be in the state of trying to lose weight for the rest of your life. The more clear and dedicated and consistent you can be, the shorter the period is that you need to actually be losing weight. And then you can just maintain a healthy weight after you're done losing the weight that you've shed. Unless you're somebody who has a very bad history with it, or you have reason to believe that it wouldn't work for you. If you're somebody who's coming at it from a perspective like I was, where I just didn't really think about calories, I didn't really know how clearly they related to the weight that was on your body, it was just not something that I ever thought about, give it a chance. Give it a chance to see what your body can do with less calories and more voluminous, calorie low food, and see if it works for you. Okay, number 3 is kind of related to calories, but more specifically learning about macronutrients. So I know a lot of people know about these already, but I was somebody who, before I started losing weight and being conscious of this, really had pretty much no knowledge. I mean, I knew that there were things called protein, carbs, and fat, and I knew you needed all those to live, but I had no idea the importance of those things. So there's a really good podcast I wanted to mention. It's the Huberman Labs podcast, when he has the guest Dr. Gabrielle Lyon on, and she is super knowledgeable about all things fitness. But one of the most important things she talks about is how essential it is to eat 1 gram of protein every day for your body weight. So right now I weigh 158 pounds, give or take. So I make sure to eat at least 150, 160 grams of protein a day. And that is essential for the health of your body. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon also talks about the fact that yes, we have an issue with obesity in America, but we also have an issue of people being chronically under-muscled. And while we know the health risks and the outcomes that come from having too much fat on your body, but the health outcomes that come from not having enough muscle on your body are just as serious. It's extremely, extremely unhealthy and dangerous for your body to a point to walk around every day without enough muscle on your skeleton. Whether you're somebody who's overweight or underweight, you're not protected from the fact that you need to have sufficient muscle on your body. And the easiest way to encourage muscle growth, besides working out, which I'll talk about in a minute, is to make sure you eat enough protein. It's absolutely essential. There are a million ways you can get your protein in. I eat meat, so I eat a lot of chicken breast, and I also eat plant-based protein powder. Those are kind of 2 of my favorites because whey protein kind of hurts my stomach and I don't really eat dairy. I can definitely make a video about some really high protein meals that are easy to make, pretty affordable, and extremely nutritious, but you can start wherever you can. You know, our protein bars, you know, just the generic protein bars, the healthiest thing for you? Not always. You know, they have a lot of ingredients in them that are not exactly ideal, but once you commit to incorporating protein in your diet, give yourself somewhere to start from. So don't be super hard on yourself about, I have to find the cleanest organic protein powder and I have to do everything so perfect. Focus on getting your protein in, get used to that, build a routine, and then as you have space later, mental space, space in your wallet, you can improve the quality of those ingredients. That's a really, really, really easy way to focus on what's important and not to get caught up in the tiny little details about, oh, this protein bar has guar gum in it and I'm not supposed to eat that. So instead of eating this protein bar, I'm just not going to eat the correct amount of protein today. You know, making sacrifices in order to move yourself forward and in order to build a routine are the type of sacrifices that are worth making. Making sacrifices to be perfect in your head or to follow somebody else's rules of what diet they preach or what they follow, those are not sacrifices that are worth making, because those are not going to get you closer to your goals. They're not going to make you happy, and they're not going to bring you any sense of peace or contentment with your life or your diet. Okay, number 4, I highly, highly, highly recommend combining strength training and cardio. Again, like using the example of just moving from overeating, intuitive eating, if you're trying to cut a lot of weight and you're just doing cardio, it's possible, but it's way harder than incorporating strength training and as well as using cardio. Think of cardio as a tool to increase the endurance of your body. So do cardio as a method to be able to lift heavier weight and as a method to be able to perform better and clear out your lungs. Strength training and building muscle is really where you'll see the changes in your body that you're wanting. I was somebody who was never really interested in strength training just because it seemed like a very intense activity. Like I was like, I don't really want to move heavy stuff around and make loud noises and grunt in the gym. I probably would have kept like thinking that forever if I hadn't met my husband now, who's my boyfriend at the time, who really encouraged me to get into strength training. And I would never ever have seen the changes in my body that I have seen now if I didn't dedicate myself to strength training. And besides, the proof is in the pudding. You will grow the ass you want. You will cut the waist that you want to see. You will have the body that you want to have if you commit to strength training. It's going to happen. Secondly, it is so empowering to be able to show yourself that you can do hard things. Strength training is one of the easiest ways that you can have a goal in front of you that's impossible on day one, and you can show up consistently and work at it, and it'll be possible and totally doable 30 days later, 60 days later. And the reward circuits that get built in our head are so beneficial. Something that is kind of under the surface about being somebody who's overweight is myself and a lot of other people, I relied on food as kind of a comfort mechanism. So I had all these reward circuits built around, oh, I'm so excited to eat, I'm so excited to have a snack, I'm looking forward to what I can eat later. And you need to take a step back from those reward circuits in order to be able to build a healthier relationship with food and build a healthier relationship with your weight. It's just part of it. You don't have to just give up one day and abandon those reward circuits, cold turkey. I wouldn't suggest that. It wouldn't have worked for me. But you are going to have to build additional new reward circuits in your brain in order to live a more healthy and fulfilling life. So one of the easiest ways to do that is to dedicate yourself to an activity where you can see the proof is in the pudding, where you can see the rewards and the goals that you're trying to reach on a daily, weekly basis. It'll help you get the body you want. It'll help you develop mental toughness you want. It'll help you develop dedication and consistency for other areas of your life. The benefits of strength training truly cannot be understated. Number 5. So something kind of tangential, but something that has really helped me is cutting out alcohol. Cutting out alcohol, I understand, can be a very difficult decision for a lot of people. For me, for most of my, early 20s and stuff, cutting out alcohol was just a thought that never occurred to me. But if you are willing to try to at least limit your alcohol intake, there are so many benefits for the health of your body and for your dedication to your overall health and fitness. Alcohol is empty calories, right? So alcohol has zero nutrition for your body, but it has calories. So you're either, if you're somebody who's calorie conscious and you're somebody who's in a mindset of trying to lose weight, you're either going to be consuming excess empty calories by drinking alcohol, or you're going to be counting the calories that you consume or plan to consume in alcohol as part of your overall caloric intake, which means you are missing all the other macronutrients, micronutrients that you should be getting from that 500, 400 calories worth of food. You're instead just giving it to alcohol. So it's just overall flatly not beneficial for the health of your muscle development, losing weight, building the healthy body you want. There's also so many other reasons, like the food decisions you make while you're drinking are not going to be the same food decisions you would make while you're sober. The money that you spend drinking at home or going out to drink is money that you could be spending on bettering yourself, on bettering your body. If this all sounds preachy, you might just not be ready to get to that point yet where you're cutting out alcohol. But when you are, give it a try, and I promise you won't be disappointed, you won't regret that you cut out alcohol, even if it's just for a few months, if it's for a year. I promise you that you will not regret that time you spent away from alcohol. And if you're somebody that wants to go back to drinking, by all means do it. I think it's really worth a try, and it's worth seeing how much stronger your body functions without alcohol. Number 6, the last thing and possibly the most important of them all, is releasing the limited beliefs you have about your body. We all, or a lot of us, have limiting beliefs about what our body can do and how our body looks. For me, I was always really insecure about having the little pooch at the bottom of my stomach. And I had worked out for probably a year, and I still saw that in the mirror when I looked at myself. And it wasn't until I finally accepted the fact that, hey, you know, if that's how my body's meant to look, I know there are biological reasons why women especially carry a little bit of weight there. I am a mammal, I'm a human, I'm a person. It doesn't prevent me from seeing myself in the mirror and looking and believing that I'm beautiful. You know, do I have the same abs that some other people have that I see on Instagram or whatever? No, maybe not. You know, are those their real abs 100% of the time anyway? Probably not. But even if they are, if my stomach doesn't look like that, I can still be happy. I can still choose to be happy. And the craziest thing is that once I actually let go of that belief that I was always going to be unhappy with my stomach and I was never going to have the stomach that I wanted to see, my stomach got flatter than it had ever been in my entire life. The little pooch at the bottom of my stomach finally disappeared. It's almost like we repeat these things over and over in our heads, and that is what keeps us seeing the same things in the mirror. So not only is it important to let go of these limiting beliefs, because you will be free of the prison that you're kept yourself in your mind, but a lot of times you will actually be able to see the changes that you want to see once you finally stop holding on to these beliefs. So if you are insecure about not having, you know, a toned enough butt, if you can finally, like, seriously get to a point you're accepting, you know, hey, I might never have as much muscle or as toned of an ass as some other people, but I'm happy with my body, I love my frame, I love how it looks. I promise you, believe that and encourage that. Stop obsessing over it, and your butt will start to grow. It will start to do the work that it wants to do because your mind is not controlling it so much. Like the old saying of a watched pot will never boil, a fixated upon body part will never be free to reach its full potential. So in my true lived experience, it had the biggest impact on how I see myself, not just in the mirror, but how I see myself on video, how I see myself in my clothes, really changed once I stopped repeating this narrative over and over and over in my head that I had decided was true, you know, in high school or in middle school, whatever. So I promise you, if there's something even in the back of your head that you constantly come back to as, oh, I don't like this about myself, oh, I don't like this about myself, stop treating that as an option. Stop treating it as an option to go back to repeating negative thoughts in your head about, oh, I don't like this aspect of my physical body. Come up with whatever you can in your mind to prevent yourself from going on those negative thought loops. If you can prevent it by saying that's not productive, you know, even if it's true that I hate that part of my body, I'm not doing anything productive, I'm not benefiting myself by repeating that hatred over and over and over again in my mind. If you can attack it by saying that's not even true, that's really not even how I feel, that's just how I'm used to thinking about things and how I'm used to speaking to myself, that it's just kind of on repeat and I find comfort in it because it's what I've thought about for so long. Whatever way you can attack it from, stop treating it like an option that you can just spew this negativity about your physical body to yourself. And once you give up those hating beliefs and those limiting beliefs, your body will respond so positively. Your body will show you the freedom that it feels to reach its true potential, just like you're doing for your mind. So I can't encourage you enough to be honest with yourself about the limiting beliefs that you hold and attack them. Do not allow them to keep taking up space in your mind. Confront them directly and get them out of your head. You will be so benefited by it. Okay, so those are the 6 tips that I wanted to share with you guys today about how I lost 60 pounds and about how you can lose weight or start losing weight if you want to. I believe in you. If this is something you want to do, 2025 is your year, girl. You can do this. I am always here if you need somebody to cheer you on, if you need encouragement, I'm here. So let me know if you guys would like any other videos on this topic. I'm happy to film a leg day for you, or film some recipes that I eat that are high protein meals, or film how I structure buying groceries for our house, anything like that. So just let me know what would be most helpful to you guys, and I love you.